All right, y'all. Dang. Feels weird like picking up the camera when you haven't like talked to it in so long. It's just me talking to myself. But we're brewing up some coffee for a little pre-workout. We're just gonna do a little bit of nitric and hit a little chest and back, which is kind of nice because, utilizing all the carbs that we have indulged on with a little bit of gluttony. Yes, I ended up pulling out a prep, so that's kind of what this video entails and what I want to discuss here. But yeah, I'll talk more so on the kind of the challenges that I was like facing and kind of where I'm at. And after re-examining the whiteboard and wanting to kind of figure out a game plan, which we still have to do with Kyle, but in terms of morning weight, I'm just, I'm enjoying life, but somewhat embarrassed in terms of the scale in the morning. I'm trying to dial it back in this weekend, so that's what we're doing in terms of going to the gym, more so getting a pump. We came off of everything, so your boy's kind of natural right now. So not trying to push anything like a growth phase, but just trying to dial and be a lot more restrictive in terms of kind of getting the ball rolling with this reverse and try to do it as properly as possible after going off the deep rails a little bit, which I just needed in terms of my mental sanity just for a little bit. Damn, my hand getting heavy. I'm gonna make this coffee real quick and then I'm gonna talk to y'all in a second. All right, y'all. So, not gonna lie, I almost finished my coffee. There's just a little baby sip. But as far as prep, I think we were off out of the gates to a really good start, both physically and mentally, from the jump. Kind of with the goals set in mind of, again, achieving our pro card on a national stage and not so much fixated on kind of the show prior of having to requalify at a regional show prior to even stepping on stage at a national show. And I think everything was all good, but in terms of just these mild setbacks kind of accumulating together, I think mentally I wasn't ready for that adversity as physically prepared I think my body was at the time of being able to get my pro card. And I think in terms of, being able to ride everything out, I think if I was able to lock in a lot more mentally per se, my body would follow. And I think that's a big issue. And in terms of, obviously, when you go through prep, you have a coach that you entrust and you're supposed to follow and adhere to their plan 100%. And this might be me coming as a shitty client for my own coach. I had never physically been in the predicament of stepping on a national stage and all these external pressures that kind of built up during prep that once again accumulated and kind of put me into this state of self-doubt to where I wasn't thinking I was going to perform as well as I would do. But again, that's all hypothetical on a national stage. And I think the issue was that I was trying to push physically, but mentally I wasn't necessarily there. So we kept on pushing the shows back. And there was a time period towards the end of, closing in on the second local show, national qualifier that we had selected, where I wasn't being able to see those physical changes and I wasn't filling the part of where I initially wanted to set myself out in terms of goals, in terms of doing well at a pro show not at a pro show, doing well at a pro qualifier with the intent to get our pro card. And so the issue with pushing things back, it became to the point where we ended up needing to do a show up in Dallas a week prior to North Americans the following week up in Pittsburgh. And I think I could have done, from me critiquing myself, without any external voices kind of saying or what could have been or what couldn't have, I think I could have came in well in terms of that local show based off of where I was mentally. But where I needed to be a week afterwards, I don't think I would have been at par with the level of which I wanted to carry myself. And I didn't want to step on a stage and not necessarily embarrass myself in terms of the level of competition. And again, that's an unknown territory. I don't know how the fuck I would have performed, but even just, you get, that's an easy thing to kind of get in your head space with. But it's came to the point with prep where I knew I could have brought a way better package. And that's where I kind of wanted to hold myself more as a competitor and not just somebody kind of going through the motions and kind of checking off the box in terms of just stepping on stage. And I think I fell victim of that on my regular day basis in terms of how I was approaching prep. It became to a checking off the boxes as opposed to really having a stronger motive intrinsic motive for me wanting to pursue and kind of stepping on stage. And again, circling full back, my intent with going into this prep, and I think what was doing well, was that initial goal of setting out for my pro card. And when it became this thing of knowing that I could do well at a national qualifier, that's not something I wanted to do. I did well and got second in the overall at a local show 2 years ago. And yeah, I could make the debate of, I could have done that show, requalified, and then done a national show later down the line. But I think in terms of where I am at as a competitor, I would much rather take the approach of when I am ready for a national stage, which again, I don't feel like I was quite there in terms of where I mentally needed to be with this prep. I would much rather kind of take a warm-up, kind of getting my feet wet, going into a national show on prep, as opposed to just doing a prep and then jumping straight into a national show. So even if I were to qualify at this Lee show up in Dallas a week prior to North Americans, I would still want to do a local show before as a warm-up prior to even doing a national show. So at that point, it was just kind of like, I looked at it more so as, I'm doing this to kind of just do it. And the whole thing with like bodybuilding, or even just like coming from a competitive background, I know I talk about it when it's more youthful and just had a lot more, was driving this channel more, just had a lot more fucking energy in myself and less self-doubt. I wanted to do things from like a competitive stance. I don't necessarily want to do things as a bucket list thing in terms of bodybuilding. And I think I got into bodybuilding just from people external, from literally just seeing that I could take it at a competitive level. And I don't think it's, for me, and this is why I resonate with certain bodybuilders like Dorian Yates, for example, and just somebody of that caliber and able to compete and win freaking Mr. Olympia 1992 and beyond. But without that, just the mindset of just being somebody who just loves training. And I think that's, for me, I fell in love with training, but more so that became an emotional outlet. It became a therapy session in terms of being able to work on myself and give me something. And I feel like for me to level up as a competitor, I need to disassociate having this emotional output in the gym, and have it and be able to reconcile my perspective with the gym and competing as a whole as something that it's got to get the job done. And that might be like a switch where, sometimes, you got to go in there and you got to brute shit out. Sometimes you got to work out your life stuff. But I think in terms of prep, there was so many ongoing factors that were adding on to the additional stress that I had to go through prep. And I think that was just mentally fucking with me to where I, again, didn't feel like I was going to bring my best package. I didn't feel like I was going to step on stage proud for myself. And at that point, I wouldn't have been stepping on stage for myself. I would have been just doing it just to fucking do it. But overall, I think it comes to looking at wanting to step on stage more so as a marathon and less of kind of a sprint and just getting it done and just do it, which again is what I could have done. Me hopping out of prep isn't me necessarily giving up. It's me wanting to take time to work on the things that would position me in a better place going into a prep. Both physically, but more so mentally, man. And I think that's like a big thing that people don't necessarily advocate in the world of bodybuilding. And even just like, whether that's from a competitive field or just, a hobbyist, right? If you are going through a lot of mental strains, stresses, or whatever that may be, I think that those periods is good to kind of hold at a holding phase and kind of just do everything you need to do, but not necessarily pushing heavily into a cut or heavily into a bulk, in a progression of kind of changing, metamorphosis in a sense. And that's where I felt like I needed to be to put my focus elsewhere, with a lot of big life changes kind of ongoing and kind of sorting through things. I wasn't necessarily able to do that while I was in the depth of prep. So I think I just needed to take my time, take a step off the gas, take a step away overall from the competitive side of bodybuilding, of hopping on stage, because at the end of the day, the stage isn't going anywhere. It just depends on like when the time's right. But I'm excited just because, I don't know, these setbacks, and I might be biting my words, but at least right now in this time being, after indulging in all the food, kind of give me a stronger motive, a stronger foundation of competing for myself. Advocate your energy, your time, your value, and don't just get so fixated. Don't get so fixated necessarily on external voices or even the internal voice that kind of self-doubt. It's not necessarily me giving up, it's just me needing to take a different approach with bodybuilding. I still want that pro card, man. So plant those seeds, but then surround yourself around something that kind of, spurts that growth. Or else you plant a seed, you never water it, you can't expect anything. That's the same principle with, I think, even just the common thing of just doing shit, right? You plant a seed, you plant a thought, but you don't act on it, it's not gonna grow into anything. I'm gonna get ready to go to the gym. We have chest and back. Not gonna go too crazy, because again, not even TRT right now. I need to get all the puffiness out. I need to get the water weight. We need to grow out the beard again, just to hide the bulk. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all, man. And I'm gonna see y'all at the gym. All right, Joe, so I just showered, so I look like a wet dog. But for pre-workout, we pulled out in the archives the strawberry jam, which just in the formula itself has yohigabine in it. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. But raucine, which is a fat burner, which typically you would take before doing fasted cardio, especially while you're on prep or in a caloric deficit and trying to cut weight. It makes you sweat a shit ton while you work out. So that's why we are taking this pre right now, to kind of try to sweat out the excessive water weight. And who knows, maybe probably do some hot yoga tomorrow before check-ins on Monday, with today being Saturday, tomorrow being Sunday. And then tomorrow's tomorrow being Monday for check-ins. So better take this, hopefully get a little cognitive benefits there as well. So I'm gonna see y'all again, part 2 at the gym in a minute. And we can't forget to throw in some creatine as well. Just a little bit of baby aspirin. So
I've named this one JPEG.
I hear you went down, 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 down. I hear you went down. I hear you went down, 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 down. Did you go down?
I had to get on my pop shit, I don't wanna start shit. These rappers is regular food. I bought my bitch some compartment, she bigger than carpet. She can't fuck no regular dude. Say that. I don't know who told these wiggers that acting like drillers was ever the vibe of the mood. You know that I know that ain't really you. Was the black of the image, the white of the roots. Say that. Say that. Wanna climb the pillar to me back. If you hate me, my nigga, just say that. I don't know who told these wiggers that acting like drillers was ever the vibe of the mood. You know that I know that ain't really you. Was the black of the image, the white of the roots. Say that. I don't know who told these wiggers that acting like drillers was ever the vibe of the mood. You know that I know that ain't really you. Was the black of the image, the white of the roots. Say that. Say that. Wanna climb the pillar to do that. If you hate me, my nigga, just say that. They hate when you got an agenda. They can't bend you over, can't tell if you're sober. I'm with my Bobbies, we being bipolar together. We burn through that bread like a toaster. Say that. Just to be clear, I'm the quarterback. With this throwing that pass, make you fumble that. I am up the LT, set it up with snack. Back to back on these bars like some battle rap. You ain't slinging no rock like candle mat. You stay in the crib with your favorite pack. Wanna cry on the roof of the Maybach. If you hate me, my nigga, just say that.
I hear you went. I hear you went. I hear you went. I hear you went down, 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 down. I hear you went down.
I give it up. Good up, listen up. I'm swine. Yeah, so I'm the king for that whistle. I'm swine. Yeah, so I'm the king for that whistle. I'm swine. Yeah, so I'm the king for that whistle. I'm swine. Yeah, so if that cops come around, don't say, ¿qué pasó? Like I'm Cinderella, a shoot fits like you and you Cinderella. What's wrong with the ass? I would been a teller. I'm fucking that hoe, she tryna tell me for real. I'm swine. Yeah, so I'm the king for that whistle. I'm swine. Yeah, so I'm the king for that whistle.
I've named this one JPEG.
I hear you went down, 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 down. I hear you went down.
I don't know who told these wiggers that acting like drillers was ever the vibe of the mood.
You know that I know that ain't really you. Was the black of the image, the white of the roots. Say that. Say that. Wanna climb the pillar to me back. If you hate me, my nigga, just say that.
I don't know who told these wiggers that acting like drillers was ever the vibe of the mood.
You know that I know that ain't really you. Was the black of the image, the white of the roots. Say that.